there, loves. Welcome to Life's Just Cray. I'm Cate, and this is where we talk through real life situations that have you up until 2 a.m. talking with your bestie, like, okay, but what would you do though? Real situations, real talk, no fluff. My grandma always used to say that you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's exactly how I move on this show. Everything I say comes from my own experience or my own thoughts. I'm not a professional, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. However, it might just help. Today, we're talking about taking a real risk on yourself. Leaving something stable for something that actually makes you feel alive. And I think this one is going to hit for more people than just the person who sent it in.
I have spent 11 years building a career in a field that I was good at, but never loved. I want to be honest about that distinction because I think it matters. Being good at something and loving it are two completely different experiences, and for a long time, I convinced myself that competence was close enough to passion that the gap between them did not need to be addressed. I was wrong about that. The gap has been growing for years, and I can no longer pretend it is not there. I have a stable job, a good salary, benefits, a title that took a decade to earn, and that carries real weight in my industry. I have a mortgage and a car payment, and a life that was built around the assumption that I would keep doing what I've been doing for the foreseeable future. None of those things are small. I am not someone who takes financial stability for granted because I grew up without it, and I know exactly what it feels like to not have it. And I have no desire to go back to that place. But I've also been quietly building something on the side for the past 2 years. A business in a completely different field that started as something I did on weekends to feel alive, and has slowly become something that I think about more than I think about my actual job. Something that has started generating real income in a way I did not fully anticipate when I started it. Something that when I work on it, I do not watch the clock. The numbers are not there yet to make the full jump. I would need to walk away from a significant salary and trust that what I have built on the side can eventually replace it, and then some. Everyone in my life who knows about it falls into one or two camps. The people who tell me to go for it because life is too short, and the people who tell me to be smart about it because life is also too long to spend broke. I understand both positions completely, and I cannot figure out which one to listen to. How do you know when the risk is worth taking and when you are just romanticizing the idea of a different life?
I want to say something first that I think is really important before we get into the actual advice. The fact that you've built something real over the course of 2 years entirely on your own time and your own energy while working a full-time job that you don't even love, that's not a small thing. That's discipline. That is vision. That is you betting on yourself quietly and consistently for 104 weekends without any guarantee that it was going to amount to anything at all. And it's actually amounting to something. And the fact that it's generating real income and that you can't stop thinking about it, even when you're supposed to be focused on your actual job, tells you everything you need to know about where your future is eventually headed. And you know which direction you're going. The only question is the timing. And here's what I want to say about the timing, because I think this is the part that people get wrong most often when they're standing at exactly the crossroads that you're standing at right now. Don't leave your job yet. And I know that it's probably not what the romanticized version of this story sounds like. I know the version in your head probably involves a moment where you walk in and hand in your notice and bet everything on what you've built and it all works out. And maybe that moment is coming, but it's not here yet. Not because your side business is not real or not promising, but you haven't given it enough runway to prove what it's actually capable of. You've been building it on the weekends for 2 years, 104 Saturdays and Sundays, while holding down a full-time job and full life. Now, I want you to think about what happens when you start giving your weekday hours too. Not all of them, not at the expense of the job that you currently have that's paying your bills. The early mornings before you log on, the lunch breaks, the evenings when you would otherwise be watching television. What does this business look like when you pour that kind of additional time into it while you're keeping your financial foundation intact? Because I think the answer to that question is actually what determines when you're ready to make the full jump. Give it at least another year, maybe 2. Keep your stable income and your benefits and your bill payments right where they are right now. And in that same time, watch what your side business does when you feed it more consistently than just the weekends. If it keeps growing and income keeps building, and the gap between what it generates and what your salary really provides keeps closing, then you'll have your answer without having to gamble your financial security to find it. And if it plateaus or stalls or shows you something that you weren't expecting to see, then you'll have learned something equally valuable without having blown up your entire life to find that out. The people who are telling you life is too short, they're not wrong. But the people who are telling you to be smart about it, they're not wrong either. The smartest move right now isn't choosing between those two camps. It's finding the path that lets you keep building towards the life you actually want without setting fire to the stability that makes building possible. You've already done 104 weekends. Give it a little bit more time, more fuel, and let it show you what it's really made of before you make any permanent decisions.
Alrighty, loves. That's all I've got for you today, and you already know where to find me. Slide into the DMs with your situation, and you might just hear it on the next episode. And if this one hit home for you, share it with someone who needs it, because that is what we do. And remember, just because I've said this advice doesn't mean you have to take it. You're the maker of your own decisions, but you must also be willing to deal with the consequences of your actions if there are any. Until next time, take care of yourself.